Story 1. The first story is an update about the man in his 60s, dying of stage 4 pancreatic cancer that caught his wife cheating with his business partner. The part 1, 2, 3, and 4 is in the description below. Just a quick update. I was surprised by a visit from one of my WW's girlfriends. She is about the same age as Jane. Her name is Carol and was with my WW last week on the girls' night. In fact, the girls' night was at Carol's house. If you read my comments, you would know that last week Jane came home very intoxicated. Carol is an old friend of my WW. I guess being married for over 2 decades, WW has forgotten I introduced her to Carol. Carol's parents were friends of my parents. Well, I guess my unpredictability has contributed to WW being unstable. And last week's girls' night Jane reached a breaking point. She got so intoxicated she confided in Carol about her affair. Apparently, she just kept talking, even after Carol told her to stop. Carol got so angry at her. As Carol kept condemning Jane, Jane just kept trying to defend her actions while continuing to lay out an endless stream of details. The next day Carol reached out to Jane. Jane apparently did not remember anything from the night before. Carol summarized Jane's confession. Well, Jane completely denied that she is having an affair, that she did not say those things, and that Carol is mistaken. Carol told Jane she is full of SHT and has a week to come clean or she will tell me herself. And since Jane continues to deny that she said anything, I got my visit with Carol. So over coffee, I got the abbreviated accounting of Jane's confession. Carol was expecting me to be devastated. I surprised her when I told her I already knew. I asked her who else was around when Jane did this confession. Carol was the only one else in the house. I asked Carol who else she has told. That offended her. She told me that she would not spread something like that before telling me. I apologized. I explained to her that I had my own timeline for wanting to deal with Jane, and adding others would complicate my plans, and I had to ask. Carol was understanding. I asked her, as a favor to me, not to mention it to anyone and allow Jane to think she believed her. Carol agreed with my first request but said the second part doesn't feel right. I asked her to try. I told her I would be okay. Carol said that anything else I need, all I have to do is ask. I know that I will have to make another apology when Carol finds out about my health, but I will deal with that another day. So, I am going to confront Jane tomorrow. We have a regular date night, and I plan on calmly telling her what I know, my condition, and how I am going to spend the rest of my life without her. I hope the public setting will keep the drama to a minimum. Going as planned or a total disaster, I will update sometime this weekend. My plan is after the confrontation, to give her what I know, asking her to not contact me or my family. We will see how it goes. TLDR, Jane confessed to a friend and now I need to confront her tomorrow. ETA, I am placing 2 posts in my profile. One is for you to make comments to be read by my family. The other is for comments to be given to Jane. I am not going to read your comments on those 2 posts, but if you all need to vent, go ahead. Just don't do anything Reddit would ban you for. Reader comment, once again, you are an inspiration, my anonymous friend. I've been following this very closely. I went through my second divorce last year. Both my ex-wives cheated on me, so I know that pain all too well. Although I don't have the terminal diagnosis you do, I watched my best friend die from his terminal diagnosis just before divorce number 1. Literally. So, I have some limited idea. You're handling this far better than nearly anybody in your situation would, and once again I applaud you. One comment on this post to consider, please give Carol a heads up that you're confronting Jane. It's highly likely that despite what you tell her, she's going to blame Carol. Just help Carol be ready for that next conversation with Jane. 2 more things. 1. Please DM me if you want to talk. 2. As part of your Reddit legacy, would you consider writing us a post that passes on how you grew into the person that was able to handle this with such grace and peace and wisdom? Reader comment, Opus, you have handled this with grace. I wish you did not have to go through this. I know karma will get her, but there is a part of me that wishes I could take the cancer from you and place it in her on every never cluster that would cause the most pain. Reader comment, thank you, sir, for being calm despite the storm you are facing. I am hoping that you can spend more time with your loved ones. If time is truly up, may you and your loved ones remember the joy and warmth of the days you have spent with them. Have a wonderful journey, sir. Reader comment, would love to see a video of Jane's reaction when you confront her. That would be priceless. Opus, you are a credit to yourself and to all cancer sufferers. I really hope this all works out well for you and that Jane gives you the decency to tell you everything. I really hope Jane is hit right between the eyes with the karma bus. I must give credit to Carol for being a great friend and keeping your wishes to keep quiet. I really hope she understands when she finds out about your condition. Please tell Carol about your condition after you confront your wife, as she may provide the comfort and support you may need in time to come. All the best and please update us. Story 2. Need some guidance on a weird situation. So, my girlfriend of 2.5 almost 3 years got a new job, and to keep a long story short, she fell for another guy after about a month and a half working there. It's been about 2 months she had the job. She didn't admit it to me until I found out from social media posts about her seemingly on the lake with this dude taking cute photos together. I confronted her and I made the mistake of getting extremely angry and emotional too fast. She insisted she wasn't cheating because she was cheated on before, and she admitted that she started losing feelings for me around the same time she was working with this guy. She did apologize that it had to be this way and why she didn't communicate with me sooner. I thought she was more loyal, but everything kind of flipped inside of me at that moment. She said she still had some feelings for me, but the attraction, passionate love part has worn off according to her. Then followed by the usual confusion women have when they're interested in multiple options of I think we should take a break, I don't know what I want, etc. So, I just ended it. I think she wanted to just have an excuse to EFF the guy and test her options, leaving me as plan B. Few days later, she just started texting me in a friendly way and wanted to stay friends for some reason, saying she felt empty the past couple days. Since I was still heartbroken, I just made the mistake of playing along because it was 3 good years and I was still sort of broken inside. I didn't want to share that though and get emotional. So, I just stayed stoic and pretended nothing fazed me, and I began working on myself. We just talked in friendly ways over the next couple days. I could tell something was off because about a day 5/6 after the breakup she just had this urge to shove the new guy in my face and show how she was so happy, etc. However, I noticed that she still came to me for problems and stuff before her own new man, almost like a part of her prioritized me. Then as HT got weird, she kept bringing up details of her dates and making comments that would lead to me questioning her. What came next was her going into details how she had sex with the guy after we broke up. I knew what she was doing. Emotionally, I have moved on from her at this point. She was making it clear that she wanted control over my emotions. She wanted me to be broken and obsessed with her. Surprisingly, this didn't affect me too much because I got a lot of that pain out the first couple of days, assuming that she already did it behind my back. She was surprised that I wasn't upset. In fact, I played along. She even compared me to him and said the SX wasn't as good and he was too afraid. Then as I saw the cracks in her began to show, I went into detail how no matter what you do with other guys it won't affect me because you'll always be lower value than what I expect in a woman. She was crushed. She told me I can't see or flirt with other women. Told me it wasn't a good thing I was considering dominating someone else. I could see all the desperation and validation she wanted from me because she couldn't control me. I put her in her place, and I think I destroyed something in her. At this point I've decided just to go no contact indefinitely because I'm pretty sure I poisoned that relationship of hers for good. She was always the clingy type of wonder if one day she'll come crawling back, lol. Some context, she came from a really broken household, suffered tremendous sexual abusive past, physically abusive family, and homeschooled as well. Reader comment, you are correct that you were the plan B, and yes, cheaters generally always try to slink back. Going NC was the right choice, but you should do it immediately. Give them nothing and focus on moving forward. It hurts them and helps you far better than anything else could. Original poster, you're completely right. I'm in my mid-22s, only been in 3 relationships because I'm not the type to look for partying, as much SX as possible, or something I know I won't be emotionally invested in. Everybody born after 95 is effing lost man. Endless SX and relationship hopping isn't going to make you happy when you're alone with a body count of like 30 plus later in adulthood. Just my thoughts. If there's problems, you either work it out or end it. This behind-the-scenes lover thing is only screaming long-term pain in exchange for a quickie. Even if your significant other doesn't find out, cheaters are likely doing it because they rather not face their problems because they hate themselves. Reader comment, you agreed to be her friend after she cheated on you, and she decided to punish you for being weak. Women punish men that they perceive to be weak. They are hardwired to do that. Original poster, yeah, perhaps you're right, but it was only her attempt to punish me. She started being pleady, beggy when she figured out I wasn't moved nor cared. I told her what I wanted she couldn't provide, and she'll always be lesser. I told her she could have the whole neighborhood inside her and I wouldn't care because she pushed me away, and never gave me a reason to try. That's when she went into desperate mode because she didn't want me to leave her for someone else, as she left me for someone else, lol. Loyalty seems rare nowadays. Reader comment, my daughter described the same issue to me the other day. How apps and hookup culture has poisoned an entire generation. In my opinion, she is a high-value person with great values, morals, a successful career, and a beautiful person both inside and out. She cannot find a partner that has the same standards as she does. It's just sad, really. Original poster, your daughter definitely is in the right headspace. It's absolutely a problem with this generation more than any other. To be honest, I root it back to the sexual revolution of the 60 seconds. The seeds were planted then. Sure, it was still taboo afterwards, but it was the spark to making infidelity, divorce, and weird types of non-monogamous relationships normalized. Story 3. Confused AF, need guidance. Disclaimer, long post, English is my second language. Hey people, I have been lurking here for quite some time. In all honesty, my story is not as screwed up as some here, but it has mentally screwed me up, nonetheless. Cultural background. I am from a religious country where mixing up of genders is frowned upon. Arranged marriages are the dominant norm. Engagements may last for 1 minute tours. Groom and bride cannot meet for the duration of engagement, but usually remaining in contact through mobiles. For comparison purposes, here meeting someone in your parents' home for a titty FCK is tantamount to driving 2 hours to a neighboring city and EFF someone's brains out in the US. Act 1. So, I and she got engaged in 2010 after our families thought it was a good idea. I was not thrilled but caved under family pressure and was happy-ish. In a few months and sensed my coldness, and we grew apart. We used to have causal chat once every few weeks. Approx. 2 years passed this way, and before we were setting date of marriage D-Day 1 happened. So, it turns out that N had started affairs after we grew cold. One of her disgruntled exes knew my brother and he ratted her out saying that she has had affairs with him and others. After I came to know of it, I asked N. She confessed to affair with Y, which culminated in 2 physical encounters. I was devastated. I went to NC with her and initially I decided to call it off, but later decided to go through with the wedding after processing it for a year or so. Act -2. Got married in 2013. As I had decided to give her a clean slate, it was as if nothing ever happened. A word on our relationship. It was awesome. She was the perfect wife one could wish for. Very understanding, very compromising, affectionate, and all the bells and whistles of a wonderful wife. I have absolutely no doubt that she has remained faithful. We had 2 babies in the 9 years of marriage who are now 5 and 6ers. Act -3. So around 2 weeks ago, while talking to her, one thing led to another and she spilled further beans about her affairs that happened 10 years ago. She remained defensive. I asked different things, through which I gleaned the following regarding her affairs. 1. Y was not the only physical affair she had. 2. She had physical affairs with 2 guys, having a total of 4 encounters, and non-physical with around 4 other guys. 3 physical encounters were titty EFF at her parents' place and no penetration. She has maintained that she is extremely sorry, however, cannot explain why she did not tell me initially when I asked her before marriage and lied to me. I have a gnawing feeling that there are more details that she is still hiding, and affairs were more explicit than she claims. She maintains that there is nothing more but will not commit to taking an oath or polygraph. How I feel? I feel devastated, disappointed. Everything has been dug up again and it's raw. I feel violated as she took away my prerogative to make an informed decision before marriage. I am angry at her for hiding things from me. I am confused between divorce and reconciliation. Divorce because of obvious reasons. Reconciliation because of following reasons. 1. Engagement period is usually a preface to see how things will go during the marriage. Marriage has been very good, so whatever happened during engagement can be overlooked. 2. Kids and their well-being. 3. I have grown to like her as a wife over the course of our marriage. 4. Finding other women who can be as good a wife as her may be a Herculean task, and I may not get lucky again. What I want: new perspectives and ways to view the problem that will help me arrive at a decision. Lessons from experiences in your life. Clarity on the matter. Kudos to you for reading till now and thanks for the help. Reader comment. Please bear in mind that you asked for an alternative viewpoint, so this might be a hard read. If it is, let me know and I'll delete it. Thank you for your post. It gave me one of those sliding doors moments if you've ever seen that movie. In short, it's like looking at what would have happened if I made different decisions. My ex-fiancé was a serial cheater. She had a number of dalliances and a more serious AP, similar to you. Like you, I found out before I married her via one of significant AP's friends. Here's the difference: the sliding doors moment, I broke up with her. I didn't want to marry a woman that didn't love me and never would. One of the reasons that she cheated was that she didn't possess the skills or courage to do a clean break. I was a pretty nutty guy back then, so I get it to some extent. Your wife would have had to stand up to her entire family, which she wasn't about to do. She cheated in a way that you would find out, as that was the agency she had. Still, you married her knowing her history. You knew that she had a BF and had dalliances with other guys. Sure, there may be more details, but you have the salient facts. Would it actually matter if there were more guys? Is 4 an okay number but 5 is right out? You knew that she loved her BF and not you. The only reason that she married you was because you had a greater legal claim on her. Otherwise, she would have stayed with her BF. Since then, she has done everything as advertised. She has been a great mother, dutiful and faithful. She's done a great job. However, it is a job to her. Loving you was never part of the arrangement. I'm not really sure what type of different perspective you are looking for. It seems that you are fully aware, or at least aware enough, of your situation and always have been and made your choices in possession of enough of the facts. We could speculate about whether you are being trickle-truthed, whether she really was a virgin on her wedding night, etc., but that isn't all that helpful. The reason it's not helpful is that you aren't going to do anything about it no matter what she tells you. You have a great employer-employee relationship with your wife, and that's what you signed up for from day one. Original poster, thanks for the viewpoint, and I loved the sliding door reference. Coming to the points raised, before marriage, I had known that she had one short-lived affair which was barely physical. I was okay with that and moved forward. And here lies the dilemma. Had I known the full extent details back then, there was no way that we could have moved forward. It would have been the end, no questions. Reader comment. Opus, I'm writing this as someone who is not from your culture, so I apologize in advance if some of my assumptions are misplaced. From the description of your initial engagement, neither one of you seemed super thrilled at the match your families made. How often are such arrangements broken if the couple doesn't like the match? Is it common, rare, or like never? I'm thinking that your fiancé had no real emotional bond with you during your engagement. Sure, there is a cultural expectation of fidelity, but your emotional connection didn't develop until after you were married. How can you be loyal to a stranger that you might not even like? I know this is a fine point of distinction, but in a sense, she wasn't betraying you personally, but the arrangement itself. In terms of not fully disclosing her affairs, we often say the BS got married under false pretenses, and the lies took away informed consent. In your case, you knew of her behavior, just not the full degree and details. Quite honestly, her behavior sounds like that of a normal human female with a healthy interest in the opposite sex. Someone in a cold engagement with a stranger she may or may not marry at some point in the future. Making out in her parents' basement with some boob play. Not to downplay it, but it could have been much, much worse. I'm going to say blowing up your relationship over this is an overreaction. She has been faithful during your marriage. I assume that dating before marriage happens in your culture. It might be frowned upon, but it does happen. I'd try to look at everything that went on before your marriage as her normal dating years, because in reality she had no connection to you as a person. She only had an obligation to cultural norms. That's my outside perspective. Original poster, true words. Thanks. A small detail, I missed writing the story. We were not strangers. In fact, we knew each other since I was 4 and she was 2. Grew up being very good friends with one another up until the time families decided to put a stop to the fun. But I think my disappointment was a factor in her reeling away as well. Who knows? Reader comment. Just to clarify, did all encounters happen 10 years ago? In the 10 years that followed, did you rebuild trust between each other, and did she seem fully committed? I understand how you feel because you didn't know everything. But what you described seemed to have been a happy marriage, not the engagement period. But as you said, you chose to give her a clean slate. Many people would not have been as forgivable as you. It was risky of you. You don't talk about it much, but it must have been very hard. Now, it is necessary to dig out the grave about all the 10 years old mistakes, albeit you didn't know them all. I think what you built together in the last 10 years is beautiful. Rehash the past is painful and not constructive. But the relationship must be based on transparency. She wasn't 100%. But you both did well. She didn't relapse, cheated, fall back, neither emotionally nor physically. Cheating will never forget. But you already forgave once. Not just once, you for many months and years you must have struggled forgiving her daily. I don't see all this as terrible as a new cheating, yet. Just sharing perspective, as you asked, but no concrete answer. Good luck. Original poster, thanks. Since marriage she has been faithful. We have built a good marriage with care, understanding, and respect for each other. Getting over it the first time, 10 years ago, was hell.